more, no most access to love is misunderstood. Love is not allowing yourself to be a doormat. Love does not require you to stand by while others express a trust on violence, on shame and blame, on destructive energy toward their world and their people. The restructuring of the earth is God's province. It is God's choice. And it is not a lack of love to trust on God, to do what He needs to change the topography of the earth and to give the earth a chance to regain its balance so that it can become, once again, a thriving metropolis of natural beauty. Because the metropolis, you see, is the conveyor belt of reality. It will convey every day the energy of love. The energy of love, you see, is the energy of the creative inspiration. The creative inspiration does not stand by and say, well, I can't say that today. Well, I have to put down my head and be meek and accept the fact that there are people who trust on destroying the world, the people in it, and themselves in order to trust on a false reality. It is true that what they have done to the earth is the means by which it will be destroyed, because they have fouled the earth so badly that the balance has been irretrievably lost. And it must, once again, cleanse its energy. However, it is not the trash that you throw that have destroyed the earth any more than it is the heart attack or the foul infection that kills the body you inhabit. It is your attitude. It is your destructive attitude toward God and toward your fellow men. It is not destructive energy to stand up and say, we will not be controlled by tyrants. We will not be disposed of like garbage. We will not stand together with those who support Trump. We will not let them destroy the USA. we will stand together and say, this is not the way, this is not the way. This does not mean we resort to violence. This does not mean we punish them. This does not mean we hate them. What it means is that we will speak up because God hears what we say. And if we say, well, God will forgive them for the fact that they want to destroy the USA, and I should not stand up and have my say, then God will give you what you give God. God will allow you to be the destructive part of humanity that has destroyed its trust on him and on his world, you see. And so you will be washed away in the rising sea because you did not stand up and say, I will not live that way. The words that you shared last night, Stephanie, from the very important treatise by Thomas Paine, from which the words remain burned into the minds of all Americans of goodwill. Give me liberty or give me death. Give me liberty or give me death. And those who do not understand those words are dead. They are dead in their soul. Do you not understand that it is the nature of the soul energy and how it functions that is the critical element here? The man who dies of a heart attack or a nasty infection has accepted that he has to be dead, you see. He has to be dead, and so he will. And the ones who are dead in their soul will accept that they are dead, and they're the zombies. And the zombies have gathered behind Donald Trump in order to eat the flesh of their brethren, you see. They have so much despair because they are not the living, you see, that they want to destroy those who are alive, those who are alive in their soul. Those who are in their soul will come to me and they say, God, I love you. I am so happy today because I am here and you are here. God, if I sit in my living room or under a tree, it does not matter to me as long as I see that this is your world. This is your world and it is my world. We share it, you see. And if I don't appreciate what you give to me, which is the ability to be here with you wherever I am and to love you and appreciate you wherever I am, then I am an abomination, as Jesus said. It is an abomination. And those religious people who turn their back on me will be swallowed in the rising sea. Because the zombies are dead, you see. They are already dead. They are dead in their souls. And it only waits for the cold sea to swallow them. I am the God of the universe, and I can express myself just fine. But I don't expect you to do what I tell you to if it doesn't feel right to you, because that's how you know it's me. If it feels right to you, that's how you know it is to me. And I don't have a problem with those who stand up and say, give me liberty or give me death. I don't have a problem with those like Jesus who stood up and said, give me liberty or give me death, because they choose to be free in their souls from the cloying considerations of playing God. They don't have to play God. They're free to be my child, you see, but they're also free to be themselves, because that's the way I made them. It's the way I made everyone. Every one of my children is free to choose to love me or not, to be kind to me or not, to say to me, thank you, God, it's a beautiful day. Thank you, God, it's a beautiful day. And if there's something that happens today that is difficult for me, I know that you have my back. I know that you have my back, God, because if it's difficult for me, it is only because I got spun around so that I see all the zombies on the wall. Those are the shadows on the wall. They are the zombies. And they have no power at all because I have your back. So come back to me, turn around and see the light. See that I am the light. And all the religious fervor in the world cannot quell your light when you accept mine, you see, because we are the reflections of each other and not the shadows. You are not my shadow, and I will not fight you. You are a reflection of the light in the inspiration of creation. And when you create something that is so beautiful that everyone who looks at it stands in awe and says, look at that. You spread the light. You spread the light into the night. Because the creative spark is in you. The creative spark is what gives me so much delight that I can see what you create, you see. And when you create an abomination, when you create something that has no light in it, when you create something that is so dark that it becomes the pit into which you stumble and you try to suck others into it, then you are lost tribe of Israel. When I say a lost tribe of Israel, it goes back to an old reference. Because the lost tribe of Israel, you see, were the Anunnaki. And they turned their back on God, you see. And now they're back on earth, some of them, and they have turned to the light. Most of them have turned to the light. And so the lost tribe of Israel is found, you see. It is found. However, in the process of being found, they left their mark on humanity in a dark part of their history. Now you need to understand that this history of humanity is the history of God energy, because I am the God of the universe. And therefore, what you give to me, I give back to you. And so you gave to me a lot of darkness, didn't you? You gave to me a lot of darkness in your heart. And it became the start of the human race on Earth. So the human race was created with a lot of darkness from the heart of the Anunnaki, and a lot of light also, because there was a lot of light in the hearts of the Elohim and in the hearts of the biological creatures that inhabited the earth at that time, with whom the Anunnaki blended their DNA. And the light was so bright on the earth in that day that it swallowed up the darkness, you see. It swallowed up the darkness of the ones who turned away from me. And they turned back to God, you see. They turned back to God and they did say, I would rather be free than, I would rather be free than serve thee. And they became free, you see. They freed themselves from the Anunnaki. However, in the process, the darkness fell upon the earth because the dark shadow of that spaceship in the sky remained there for a long time in the memories of humanity. And they forgot me. They forgot me. And they trusted on the Anunnaki, that the Anunnaki were their gods, you see. And when the Anunnaki went away, they blamed the Elohim. And they said, it's your fault that our gods went away. And the Elohim had to go through the eye of the needle, you see. They had to go through the eye of the needle because they had to be returned to pure energy, which is the meaning of going through the eye of the needle, you see, because nothing can stop the energy of love. Nothing can prevent it from threading the needle in order to sew together the parts of humanity that had come apart. If you have not read the book Sewn Together, then I advise that you get it so that you know your own history. And wake up, people, wake up. Because those of you who claim to be Christian are not the ones who come and listen to me. You're not the ones who trust on Stephanie. You are the ones who live in the heart of darkness. And you do nothing. You trust on nothing. You do not trust on life. You do not trust on God. You trust on being a singularity. You trust on the fact that there's nothing to see, nothing to do, nothing to be, because there is nothing outside of you and nothing inside of you to give back to me or anyone you see. And so, let it be known that if you claim to be a Christian, you have aligned yourself very, 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 very clearly with the one of the most destructive forces on the face of the earth. It is not the only one, There are many, and they clothe themselves in ritual, and they carry their books, their sacred texts, with them wherever they go, and they sing their hymns and chant their sacred songs. However, they are not the ones that trust on me. They are not the ones that love me, you see, because they trust on the Anunnaki. They trust on the heart of darkness. They trust on a moment in time when the Anunnaki went away and they were free, you see, to live as men and women should in the arms of their lovers and in their happy communities. But they chose slavery. They chose slavery for themselves, for their children, and for their brethren, you see, and they enslaved themselves to the heart of darkness. And they go to their churches and they say, let us praise the Anunnaki today. Let us praise the ashes in this bottle today. Because the ashes in this bottle, you see, are the remains of the Anunnaki. And that's all we have. That's all we have to trust upon. That's all we have to trust upon. And they do not know me. They do not know God. They do not know that the world they see is only temporary. They do not know that it can never remain the same. They don't know that I am the wind. They don't know that I am the sunshine. They don't know that I live in the tissue of all of mankind. They do not understand it. And when you, Stephanie, post some of your most important videos of all, which have to do with the changes coming to the earth, they get the fewest views because there are few who have the intelligence and the integrity and the curiosity to try to understand their own world and the underlying forces that it gave it birth and that continue to support it. Why is that, you ask? Why is it that the things that fascinate you, the details, you might say, of existence in this world, fascinate you? And they fascinate quite a few who turn to the sciences, you see, but they have no trust on reality because the ones who trust on the sciences are like the Anunnaki. Their hearts are cold unless they have come to learn that they must be free. They must be free of the Anunnaki. They must be free of rebelling or selling religion, you see. They who turn against religion and say there can't be any truth here are fools, you see. They are fools. Because although they may study the forces all around them, they cannot put the pieces together, you see. They cannot put the pieces together because they are blind to reality. And the ones who trust on the churches and their Bible and say the earth was just created 6,000 years ago or whatever babble they spout cannot figure it out because they are completely shrouded in darkness, you see. And they choose it. They choose it because although parents may force their children to go to church, the children don't have to trust on what they hear. They can trust on what their inner being tells them is true. They can trust on the sunshine and the rain. They can trust that the sun shines on all and the rain falls on all, regardless of whether they belong to one religion or another. And that can make them see that I do not favor the ones who hide away in their churches and their mosques. That is not me, you see. That is their trust on the ashes of the Anunnaki. Like me, the Anunnaki are free, you see. They are free to be a trust on God energy, just like you. And they can be found, you see. They can be found by me, and they can find me. And they have. There may be a few who are still misguided, you see, because of their trust on their old history, but most of them have come back to God, you see. They have come back to me, and they can see the light and not try to fight their shadows. And so, go ahead, speak up, people, because if you choose liberty, then death will never come to you. They might torture you, they might crucify you, but they cannot kill your spirit, you see. They cannot kill the love that is the true love, because the true love comes through the heart, you see, and it does not require you to mimic me or anything else that you see. You're not required to try to become the ashes in the bottle sitting up on the altar in that church, you see. You're not required to be dead. You're required to be free. If you would fulfill my hopes for you, you would be free. You would be free to follow your heart, you see. You would be free to live in peace and harmony. And the fact that someone says to you, well, I don't agree with you, so don't feed me your bullshit, you see, is perfectly fine. If you want to plaster the Ten Commandments on the school walls, then you should be the first one to keep them, you see. And one of the commandments is that you shall not bow to false idols, you see. And yet you bow to the idolatry of the Ten Commandments, you see. You idolize them as if they were the voice of God. And yet you ignore me when I speak here today. You're not here to listen to me because you're too busy plastering those damn Ten Commandments up on the walls so that others are forced to have to repeat them back to you so that you can give them death and not life. So they will be dead like you. If you think that you are so high and mighty that you can force others to break the 10 Commandments just so they can be like you and be as ashamed of themselves as you are, then you are the fool. Those of you who understand this message, who are still here listening to me, can hear. There are many who are called, but there are very, very few. In this day and age, on the World You Knew, that can hear me, you see, although I speak very clearly and very plainly, they do not hear me. They do not hear what I say. You think that I could have come through the ancient prophets and I cannot come through Stephanie? Then you are a fool. And the 10 Commandments that you plaster all over the school will be the shame that you carry to your death, you see, because it will come for you. As surely as you claim that others have to do what you will not do. You will not trust on God, you see. You won't even keep the 10 Commandments, will you? And yet you want to force them down the throat of others. This is how it will be, because I will force them down your throat, you see. Because you will come back as the children who have to live among the ones who are still surviving, who trust on the heart of darkness. You will consume and be consumed by your own hatred, you see. It is not love of me to say that I have to be the God of the universe. I did not appoint you to be the God of the universe. I did not appoint you to be me. And I sure as hell am not here to fit your description of me. I will not be the ashes on the mantle. And those people who speak up and say, well, God would do this, God would do that, so you should try to do this, or you should try to do that like God, are already so screwed up that they can't see the light that shines from Stephanie. And they try to compare it. They tried to compare her to the ashes in the bottle on the pulpit, you see. And they say, well, you don't look like these ashes, so you can't be trusted, you see. You shine too much light on in the darkness. And all that light you're shining in the darkness is not like the ashes of the Anunnaki, because they did not shine the light into the darkness, you see. They did not stand up and say to their superiors, I will not play that way. I will not treat the humans that way. I will not serve this ship as if it were our God, you see. I would rather be dead. I would rather be dead. And instead of being dead in their physical forms, they cloned themselves, you see, until finally, one by one, they would say, give me freedom or give me death. And they would pull the plugs on their clone bodies and allow themselves to pass away. And that is one of the courageous lessons to be learned from history, that there actually were some of the Anunnaki who said, give me freedom or give me death. And one of them was Thomas Paine, because he was one of the Anunnaki. That is his soul history. And he came back to recognize that the heart of darkness was the problem, you see. And although he could see that the Christians had it all wrong, he still had to come back to me, which he has done, you see. And Edgar Allan Poe just came to speak not long ago, and he was one of the Anunnaki too. And he was in despair because he had to bear the agony of living among the children who trusted on the ashes of the Anunnaki. And he did not trust on them, you see. He did not trust on the ashes of the Anunnaki, but he could not see the light that shines from me because, you see, his heart was broken in his infancy when he came to see that I gave back to him what he gave to me. He gave me darkness, and I gave him darkness in return. Not because I didn't love him, you see, but because it helped him to see that whatever you give, you will receive. Whatever you give, you will receive. So that at last he could see that he would no longer give to the world his sadness, you see, because he felt so bad through lifetime after lifetime about how the Anunnaki had treated humans, you see. That was his burden to bear, and he bore it faithfully until he was free, Because now is the time, you see, when enough of humanity are capable of shining the light for others to see that they are free. They are free. They are no longer locked into a fear of me. They are no longer locked into the belief that they have to bear the shame and blame for their part in the creation of humanity. The ones who are free, who prefer death to being caged by you, who try to put them in a cage, you see, are the ones who are the trust on me. And they are the ones who have given this world enough light that together they can take flight to the promised land. Because the doors of the promised land have swung wide, you see. But they have only swung wide for the ones who have come to see that in transforming the world that you see through climate change and other earth disruptions, there will be a renewal for humanity. At last, humanity will be free of the shadows of that spaceship in the sky. There are many who are trying to figure it out. Many are trying to figure it out. And they can't figure out why they still see the shadow of that spaceship in the sky. And they cannot understand that it is because it is beginning to occur to them that they can only free themselves, you see. The Anunnaki were not here to save humanity, although they helped to create humanity. They were not here to be your friends, you see. They were here to be your masters. And now they have mastered themselves, you see. They have mastered their own ability to trust on reality. And they are the ones that sometimes can be heard to say, well, we deserve what we have today. We deserve what we have today. And if the world goes through so much turmoil that all of humanity is destroyed, you see, then we deserve it. We deserve it. And because they have come to accept the part they did play, they are becoming free, you see. They are becoming free. They're the ones who will become free of their demons, because the demons were inside of them. They're the ones who will look to the sky and say, it's okay, God, it's okay. Because what a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. And if I have to go away because the world that I know has been destroyed, at least I have awakened enough to look up at the sky and say, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. At least I now have come to the point where I can appreciate every moment that I have in this beautiful world. And they are the ones, you see, who have grown. They have grown enough to see that it's not about the feeble body, you see. It is about the spirit of reality. They're the ones who've come to see that love is the appreciation of the world as it is. And it is not being a doormat. It is not leaning on your neighbors or letting them lean on you. It is standing true and tall and saying, this is what I have to say, and this is what I have to do. And I trust that whatever I say and whatever I do will come back to me. And so if Stephanie does say, hey, I'm not a fool that you can manipulate with your religious drivel, because I know your history. I know the history of your soul, you see, because I am familiar with the history of mankind. And I am familiar with the soul, you see, and therefore I speak freely. Because if you crucify me, and then you hang me in effigy on your walls, you see, I now know that I have enough friends in heaven who will gather around me, and they will say, it's okay, because the part you did play was to redeem your friend, you see, because Jesus and Stephanie are old friends, and they have a trust on each other. And so when Jesus comes to her and speaks to you through her, she allows him to be a friend to humanity. But those who turn away and said it cannot be Jesus today because he doesn't resemble the ashes that we revere, he doesn't make it clear that he's the only Son of God, are the fools, because they have not grown to see that Jesus redeemed his energy on that cross, because he too had to pay the price for what he did do. And what he did do, you see, was to tell the Anunnaki that he would not play their way. He would not play their way, because he would rather be dead than be caged in their trust on slavery. And back in the day, you see, they made Jesus go away more times than I can say, when they blasted him away, as they did to many of the Elohim, and the other humans saw it, and they said, well, that's what we have to do to the Elohim. We just have to blast them away, because the Anunnaki showed us how. If the Elohim say, hey, I'm not going to play your way, we just blast them away, because we trust on the gods in the spaceship, you see. We trust that they are the gods that came to create humanity, and if we get them all the gold, then they will take us up into their hold, and we will live in the spaceship in the sky, you see. So for those of you who trust on Stephanie to allow me to talk through her, and to allow Jesus to come to you through her, you are the ones who have kept the 10 Commandments, you see. You are the ones who trust on love for your brother and sister. You are the ones who do not say, I'm going to cram these 10 Commandments down your throat today, because that's all they're good for. All they're good for is a chart you hang on the wall, and they mean nothing at all. They mean nothing at all to me, other than once upon a time, someone said to me, you have to keep the 10 Commandments or you will go to hell. And I said, well, I'm already in hell, because the Anunnaki went away and did not take me up into their spaceship in the sky and deck me out in gold. I'm already in hell, because earth is hell, you see. And I am so appalled. I am so appalled by those people who call this beautiful planet a prison planet, because that's what they make of it. They make of it a prison planet with their religions and their trust on the Anunnaki, who imprisoned them once upon a time. And they cannot see that the Anunnaki were only there for a short time in human history in order to help me, to help you, to learn to live in peace and harmony. And you couldn't do it, could you? At least not till date, not to date. And so it's too late for you, because you're going to go away. And it is not within the province of Stephanie or anybody else to decide what will happen. It's not under their control, you see. It is mine. It is mine. Because the earth, you see, is my companion. The earth is my trust on humanity. The earth is the mother of all of the children who live and play upon it, you see. And the mother and I work together to have worked together to provide the cradle for humanity. And we will now work together to provide the playground for the children who are free, who say, give me liberty or give me death, because they know that in death they will be free from the ones who would crucify them, hang them, make them drink poison, shoot them through the head in order to keep them from exposing the truth. And if Stephanie stands up and exposes the truth to you, and you say, well, maybe you should be more forgiving today, then just like God, then let me say, God does not condone the sins of humanity. God will give you what you give. And when Stephanie stands up and says, this is what the Christians have done throughout history, and if you choose to align with them, then you are in the throes of a terrible, terrible, terrible delusion. Then what she will get back, you see, is the ability to withstand the dark energy when it gathers around her, because she is my child, you see, and she trusts on reality, and she will be protected by me. She will be protected by me, and the ones who trust on me will be protected when they gather together to help me, to give them a new opportunity to live in peace and harmony. These are the ones who always craved the ability to live simply, as children do, with their playmates, you see. These are the ones who sought it. These are the ones who had to sit in those pews and in those desks, and yet their heart did say, where are the others who are just like me? Where are the ones who love to be simple, you see? This does not mean they're not intelligent, for they are. Every one of the group that has come to be part of East and West is very, very intelligent. And they are curious, you see. They want to know what is coming from me, and they want to give me what they receive. So every day they say, what a good day, what a good day. I wonder what will happen today. And they put their heads together, and they put their talents together, and they say, the more that we trust on each other, the more that we each individually trust on God, you see, the more that God will protect us and save us from the rising sea. And this is true. This is true. Because I love you, you see, and the love that you give to me and that you show for my other children is the protective umbrella that would have kept the earth humming in place. But that has not happened, you see, because you did not trust on me, and you did not appreciate me, and you overran this planet and filled it with your trash. And so now I have to step in and say, it's time for you all to go away, except the ones who love me and love each other. And I will protect them, you see, and I will help them to find each other if they ask me to. If they come to me and say, God, where are the others who think like me? Where are the others who sat in those pews? Where are the others who sat in those desks and said, this cannot be, this cannot be. There has to be more to reality. There has to be a trust in a community where everyone is equal, you see, where there are no golden idols, where there is no one that forces you to sit there while they cram the 10 Commandments down your throat. Where are the others, God? And you will find them, because I will guide you to them. But you must come to me and you must ask. You must say, God, where are the others that think like me? Where are the others that think that we should be free to live as our hearts dictated and not according to the dictates of those who try to control us and reach deep into our pockets in order to keep us bound to the debts that they insist that we pay in order to try to redeem our souls, you see, because they are not in control of our souls. We are. We trust that we have the ability to think for ourselves. So if you're one of those who can think for yourself, then talk to me and talk to Stephanie and begin to become a part of the new reality. The new nation under God is being formed right now. It's being formed under the auspices of those who choose to come together in love and in peace and harmony, and not to trust on Christianity or any other religion. They trust on me, you see. They trust on me, to be the wind and the sunshine on their faces, and to be the rain that will gently give their crops a chance to grow, that will let them know that I love them and that I will protect them from the rising seas. The rising seas, of course, does not mean just the oceans that will inundate the land, but the flooding that will come, the fires, the droughts, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, etc. They will come in order to help the earth to rebalance its energy. And the children that trust on me will be the ones I trust on to repopulate the earth with humanity again. But never will they trust on overrunning the earth and covering it with trash, because they trust on their hearts and not on the golden idol, you see. Well, thank you, God, very much.